Hey everyone, I'm Almar of almarsguides.com, and this is a video guide I put together of where you can farm charged lodestones in Guild Wars 2. Now there's only two different locations where you're actually able to farm these charged lodestones, and both of them are in the Cursed Shore. One is all the way up north, which I will cover in an additional video that I am uploading shortly after this one, and this video here is going to cover the sparks, which drop the charged lodestones, that you can farm by the gates of Arah. Now, in order to unlock these sparks, or rather get them to spawn, you need to capture Arah, which you probably, if you've been to Cursed Shore, you know about the battle for Arah. You got to help them run up all of the stairs, and then retake back the area, and then every so often you'll have to defend this point in order to keep the waypoint and be able to keep running the instance over and over. Now, in order to reach these sparks, you want to port in Arah waypoint and head just a little bit west, down the first flight of stairs, and you're going to hit the big group of sparks that I'm grinding in the video right now. Now, there's about 8 different sparks that spawn in this location, usually 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. And from my personal experiences, it seems like they have about a 1-minute respawn timer. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. It seems to be more or less random, actually. I've seen them spawn really fast after one another, and I've seen them take a little bit longer to spawn, to the point of where I had to stand there and wait for a little while. Now, people are after charged lodestones because they're used in crafting many different of the legendary weapons. Now, they're pretty expensive. They're roughly about 2 gold, 10 silver each. Maybe going a little bit more if you don't sell it directly to a seller and instead list it on the auction house. You'll be able to get an extra 25, maybe to 35 silver out of each charged lodestone that you find. Now, from my experience, this location isn't that camped. However, it definitely will be camped if you're on a server where a lot of people know about this farming location. The one in northern Cursed Shore is really never camped, but it requires you to own a temple in order to farm there, much like you have to own Arah in order to farm at this location. Just different things, and Arah is always being run and pretty much always under control, unless it's bugged for some odd reason, which has definitely happened many times before. So as long as you farm, as long as you have control of Arah, you can farm here for however long your heart desires, as long as you remain control of Arah. Now, as aforementioned, lodestones sell for an extremely large amount. Thus, if you farm here, you're going to be getting quite a bit of gold per hour, depending on how lucky you get. I highly recommend you stack as much magic find as humanly possible, which I will get into a little bit later after I explain the average amount of gold you should be expecting to make every hour here. Now, if you find even one charged lodestone during an hour period of time, you're going to wind up making about 2 gold and 50 silver as a baseline right there. Now, there's also a bunch of other stuff that you can find here that will increase the amount of gold you're making an hour as well. A bunch of vendor trash, and you're also going to find a few different rares that you'll be able to use or salvage, sell them on the auction house as is. Really do whatever you want with them. Throughout the course of this 15-minute video, I happened to find 2 rare items that I can salvage into globes of ectoplasm, and I very much plan to do that. And in my other charged lodestone farming video, where I was north of Sierra Shadowfen, that video was about 12 minutes to 17 minutes, big gap. Can't really remember there, but I found 1 charged lodestone during that time. So these definitely are pretty, well, I wouldn't say pretty common, but you should definitely find 1 an hour depending on how much magic find you actually have. Now, I have about 95% magic find, and that includes the full stacks of the Sigil of Luck, which gives you a 0.6 magic find for each kill. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up on the auction house Superior Sigil of Luck. These things are extremely important when it comes to farming and will give you a huge magic find boost as long as you're not downed, which means when your character falls down on the ground, and you know, I'm sure you probably know what that means if you're level 80 by now. So that's pretty much all there is for the charged lodestones. As for the other loot that you can get here, let's take a look at that. The most common thing you're going to be getting here are opal shards as well as opal crystals. Now, both of these items are pretty are worth a pretty penny, I guess you could say. The opal crystals have magic find on them. I'm pretty sure they're the ones with magic find on them. I gotta find in my inventory real fast. Let's see here. Yes, 3% magic find, 10 power, 10 precision. Now these sell on the auction house. Usually they don't. You'd be better off either adding them to your collectibles tab so you can use them for something later, or you can just sell them to a vendor. I just checked the auction house and they're only going for 1 silver and like 27 copper for a to list them, which it's not worth the hassle, especially once the auction house takes their cut and the listing fee and all of that. You're going to be pretty much breaking even if you're lucky. Now you'll find on average maybe 2 or 3 of them every 5 to 7 kills, I'd like to say. And that adds up pretty quick. Throughout the course of this video, I happened to find 15 of them, which adds up to 16 silver, 50 copper. It's a nice little boost in case, you know, I didn't get lucky finding anything else, but I also did find 2 rares, so I did get pretty lucky. Now, the other things you're going to be able to find here are pretty much just other random vendorable goodies. Like you'll find blues that you can just throw to a vendor here. You'll find some white items, you'll be able to salvage them. As for what whites to salvage here, you'll only want to salvage stuff that gives you either cloth, wood, or ore. You want to kind of avoid the leather salvageables because they give thick leather sections that don't even sell in the auction house for more than vendor price. So you want to salvage stuff like staffs, tridents, rifles, hammers, chainmail gear, and any acolyte gear. But other stuff like any rawhide bracers, rawhide leggings, hard leather scraps, stuff like that, you'll just want to throw to a vendor because a vendor is going to pay you more for those items than salvaging them into thick leather scraps actually would. Now, before I finish off the video here, I'd like to make one little quick correction. You actually need to not only own Arah in order to have the sparks spawn, but also the Cathedral of Zephyrs, much like the spawn location for sparks in Northern Cursed Shore. You need to have both of these things for this area, otherwise they'll be risen down here as well. Now, the Cathedral is pretty much contested a lot of the time on pretty much all servers because it's in Malcor's Leap and not many people actually like going to Malcor's Leap. However, when it is uncontested, I strongly recommend you take advantage of that because the charged lodestones go for so much and are definitely worth farming. I think usually after you contest the temple, it takes roughly 6 hours to become uncontested. Somewhere in that time frame, I'm not really entirely sure, so take that with a grain of salt. So aside from that, really all I can think of saying, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, good luck and happy hunting.